Support for WYES is made possible by Mary Lou Kristovich in memory of her husband, William Kristovich.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, John Kemp, art columnist for Louisiana Life magazine. Hi, kiddo.
Hey, Peg.
Good to see you.
Everybody.
Hello. Poppy Tooker, host of the WWNO radio program, Louisiana Eats. Good to see you, too.
Peg.
Hello. And we have another John Calhoun, host of the talk show at Cafe Istanbul, Spotlight New Orleans, here to discuss his show that will be over there next week. Welcome to our show.
Good to be here, Peggy.
Yeah, and Steppin Out theater critic Alan Smason, who is also the editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. First up, as always, Poppy.
Well, we're going all over the greater New Orleans area today, and I'm going to catch up on some things I've obviously been missing in the past. And I have to say, if you have not been to Ristorante Filippo on Ridge Lake Drive in Metairie, really, you may never have lived. Chef Philip Gagliano and his wife Mary run the most beautiful, intimate, charming restaurant that is the most fantastic Italian food that I have eaten in memory. You feel like Frank Sinatra should be at the next table.
I love that.
They have a lot, well, there's everything from polenta to lasagna, a huge diverse menu, things like gnocchi topped with chopped veal, porcini mushrooms, and sun-dried tomatoes, lots of eggplant dishes, and I love eggplant. So there's marinated eggplant, there's eggplant with chicken, but I had something that was a veal cutlet with baked eggplant, mozzarella, and tomato sauce with penne pasta. It was one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten, and the quality of that veal cutlet was out of this world. There's amazing seafood choices, and they even have incredible house-made cannolis, a delicious bread pudding.
Look at that.
Lunch Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2:30, and dinner Monday through Saturday, 5:30 till 10. It's on Ridge Lake Drive. Really, you should go.
Where on your ridge? Can you give me a marker?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's right off a causeway, so it's that
Okay,
one block
yes,
as you're
it's by
making the
Causeway.
turn.
I knew it was like, you know,
I couldn't remember.
I'm lost, but I'm out of my usual.
Right. Yeah, same here.
Now, don't ask me where this is, okay, this next one. Cafe 615 on the West Bank. I can't explain to you where Kepler Street is in Gretna.
MapQuest, that's what MapQuest is all about, right?
The Wabbit, okay?
The Wabbit.
You eaten at the Wabbit?
I have, a long time ago.
Oh my God. Well, this is a West Bank institution, originally founded in 1949. It is great traditional New Orleans food at very reasonable prices. They have daily lunch specials that are mostly $9 and $10, things like meatloaf and mashed potatoes, stuffed peppers with ground beef and shrimp stew, they have liver and onions on the menu, pastas, turtle soup, gumbos, fried seafood, poor boys, oysters on brochette. But oh my goodness, the game changer for me, frog's legs Provençal, which was fried frog's legs with capers, red onions, tomatoes, black olives, and a garlic butter sauce. The best hamburger steak I have ever eaten, not in my own house. Eggplant Napoleon with a crawfish au gratin sauce. And oh my goodness, the muffalata could be best ever. Lunch and dinner, Monday through Friday, dinner only on Saturday, closed on Sunday. And then, brand new, in that Bywater area down on St. Claude, Shank Charcuterie. Now this is Christopher Dahl and Carolyn Cobb, who were originally at St. Roch Market. They have an incredible charcuterie board. Boudin. There's braised smoked lamb over pasta with a gromolata. Meatballs. Oh, look at that charcuterie plate. There's the meatball. Yikes. Pimento burgers, and this killed me. The best sweet potato I have ever been served, period. And a real butcher shop that you will not believe the reasonable prices of the locally raised, butchered, and aged meats that Christopher Dahl is doing all by himself. all I can say is go to Shank Charcuterie Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Well, it's so nice to see progress because he started, with really a very small space in St. Roch, and for him to open his own, which is literally almost across the street, or diagonally across the street.
Yeah, just about right across. But it is, oh my goodness, go.
Okay.
The meat. I just want to go get the meat and bring it home and cook it. So
Sounds great. Thank you, Poppy. And we turn to John, and I understand you're kicking off with an artist who is so rarely seen, and I'm so glad he's visible to the naked eye these days.
Not only rarely seen, but never seen.
Never seen,
outside of the classroom.
Exactly.
Okay, well, actually, we have 3 shows, and the one you're talking about is Arthur Kern, The Surreal World of the Reclusive Sculptor at the Ogden Museum of Southern Art. And I've been covering the art world in New Orleans for 30-some-odd years, and really this is my first encounter with his work, and he's never shown his work before. He taught art at Tulane for 30 years, taught painting, and all the while he's working in his basement creating these wonderful, surreal, macabre-looking sculpture, and it was just by the hundreds down in his basement. They're really magnificent. This is an artist who really could have been on the world stage, but had absolutely no interest in being out there at all. In fact, he was interviewed. This is a self-portrait. He was interviewed by New York Times for this show, and during the interview, he turned to the reporter and said, "This is exactly what I didn't want to do. We're having this interview, and I didn't want this exposure." But the show was curated by John Berendt, who was the author of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, who was introduced to Arthur Kern by our own Bronson Lukes. They were friends, so he brought him down, he walked into the basement, saw this magnificent work, and said, we got to do something with it. So he finally talked him into having a show at the Ogden. And you're seeing this surreal, there's really only one way to describe it. Well, there are several words you could use to describe it. One is, yes, it's elegant, it's beautiful, and it's really grotesque at the same time. It's just really magnificent work. And some of this sculpture in this thing, actually the horses are life-size horses. And the ride is a life-size, and this is cast polyester resin, but they're life-size. You have the smaller ones, but it's just unbelievable to see this work. And you see nothing else this summer, see that show. The other show is uptown. It's on at the Carol Robinson Gallery. It's called House Ghost, paintings by Michael Chambers. And the artist talks about his work as a spiritual journey. He lived in Italy for a while, loved the art in the cathedrals, and he loved the Renaissance art, with life, death, resurrection, the angels. And it really has influenced his work a great deal, not necessarily visually, but the intent of the work, the spiritual aspect of life, death, angels. And a lot of his work you see open doors with sort of shadows and ghostly figures walking into the darkness. Yeah, pretty good stuff. And the third show, is someone we all know, is Michael P. Smith. And this is his photographs at the Scott Edwards Gallery in the Faubourg Marigny. There's no one I can speak of higher than the work he has done and the gift that he has left us in his huge body of work. Thousands and thousands of photographs of second liners, street musicians, jazz fest, people whom we know who are icons in the New Orleans music world long have gone, but their images remain because Michael P. Smith was out there with his camera taking this work.
Chronicling the culture, too.
And one of the great documentary photographers of New Orleans African-American street culture that we've ever had. And all of his work is now at the Historic New Orleans Collection, but this particular show at the Scott Edwards Gallery on Decatur Street in Marigny is absolutely well worth seeing. It just brings back a lot of good memories of New Orleans.
All right. Thank you, John, so
Welcome.
much. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Diane Shane told us which 2 Triple Crown races that locally owned wonderful horse, Risen Star, won in 1988. And who were the 2 local owners? Okay, the Preakness and the Belmont, and Louis Roussel III and Roddy Lamarck, of course. Now, tonight's question. 2 other museums are located, since we're talking about the Ogden, near the Ogden. Name them. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes, a year subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. And tonight we have a T-shirt as worn by WYES intern Kushanti Horton with the message, "Give Beach a chance," from our friends at WearableVegetables.com. You can visit WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of current events, including the Cuban Independence Day celebration an International House Hotel. That's next Friday night. And you can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to view our program on our homepage. Now to John Calhoun. And John, my goodness, for 4 years, you've been doing a monthly talk show out of Cafe Istanbul. How did you get the momentum to do this? Did you always want to do a talk show?
It's very odd beginning. I'm actually a professional charity auctioneer, and when I do auctions, I have a live band that backs me up. And it had been a long time since I was performing, and I missed the stage. And one of the few times that I got a chance to perform and be on the mic was when I was doing these live auctions with a live band backing me up. So I thought I should have my own show. And if you're going to have a talk show, like a David Letterman, Jimmy Fallon format, you have to have a house band. So I asked my auction band, I have this idea to do a show. What do you think? And they were excited about it.
Well, you've got one coming up, of course. This show, I just wanted to show a little bit of you from the past here. This was the February show. You're also a juggler.
That's true, yes.
Pretty versatile. But your show next week, you have Filet. You always have music.
Always have a musical guest.
Yes. Okay, and who else is going to be on the show, too?
Kid chef Eliana.
Should be fun.
Which is, she has her own radio show, and she's only 15, but has published multiple cookbooks and knows a lot about food.
Well,
like
you have
Poppy
quite
Cooker.
the mix, too.
Yes.
You also have a serious side, too.
Yes. Byron Inclade, and he is the president of the Louisiana Oystermen Association. He'll be talking about what happened with the oystermen in Point Allahash after the BP oil spill. So that gets a little serious.
And you also have commercials, and the commercials for your sponsors are actually performed by local actors. And I've attended one of his shows, and it's really great fun. You learn stuff, but you're also very entertained at the same time. Before we go further, though, what I would like to do, though, is show you a clip from one of John's shows, Spotlight New Orleans with John Calhoun. And there's one excerpt with blues guitarist Little Freddie King, and the other, the Klezmer All-Stars. Let's take a look.
Good to see you again.
Man, I'm telling you, it's really making my day and night to see you again.
Oh, thanks.
Because, man, that's been 2 years ago.
That was, yeah. You were right up here on
stage. It seems like yesterday, man. You're still looking the same. You're looking great.
Now, I'm only 42. Now, okay. Now, hold on. Now, Freddie. This summer, you made 75. But, yeah, that's a big deal. But,
man,
you wouldn't know it seeing, well, you just, what's your secret to staying so young?
Well, actually what I do, I drink a lot of Powerade, and I thank God to give me strength to see the next day.
All right, yeah. So God and Powerade.
Powerade.
Not Gatorade, but
Not
Powerade.
Powerade.
Powerade, yeah.
Orange.
The orange. Orange, okay. Remember that. Yeah. That's okay. I want to make, at 75, I want to be still dancing around like I do.
That's so. That's right.
I'm going to the store. I'm going to get cases of that orange Powerade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you put the energy out, you won't feel it.
You won't feel it. Yeah. You just kind of just do. Okay.
Exactly.
Now.
But now once you make 75 now, and you do all that, getting around that dancing and everything. But now, see, like 3 o'clock the next morning, then you'll feel the pain. You might have to get some Bengay or something else.
Some Bengay, okay. All right. Yeah. Bengay and Powerade. Freddie, those aren't our sponsors.
Exactly. Yeah.
And once again, actually that was the Panorama Jazz Band. Sorry, my mistake on that. And Spotlight New Orleans with John Calhoun takes place this Wednesday night at Cafe Istanbul in the Healing Center on St. Claude Avenue. And who knows, maybe John will even play the ukulele. Do you play the ukulele?
I close every show with a song, kind of tuck people in at night, a lullaby. Yes.
An original song.
An original song.
An original song. All right, great. Thank you, John. I'm glad you were on our show. And now it's time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring The New World Arch by Tuan Vu. And a native New Orleanian, Vu attended Ben Franklin and the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. He now teaches art at Southern Connecticut University. This is the New World American Hymn Brass. In his artist statement, Vu says, "My drawings and paintings document how I grew into my Vietnamese American identity. In my work, I reflect on themes of hope, integration, and reconciliation." An opening reception for his current exhibit will take place tomorrow evening at Cole Pratt Gallery, and it runs through May 28th. And now, Alan.
Well, we start off with some sad news, and that is that the New Orleans community has lost a really fine actress, native born, who actually received training direct from Sanford Meisner in the Meisner technique. And that, of course, is Desiree Ledet. Desiree played a number of local, regional, and New York productions. She lived in New York for 30 years. Many people will recall the fabulous role she played in the hotel plays as Mrs. Wire at the Herman Grimma House for the Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival, and that was done in conjunction with the Tennessee Williams Provincetown Theater Festival. Even Jim Fitzmaurice said nobody had a better Ninth Ward accent than Desiree. A celebration of her life will be held at Loyola at the beginning of next month. Now, let's get on to something that'll make you much happier. How to succeed in business without really trying. That's the Frank Lesser musical that tells the story of the rise of an unlikely but likable fellow who climbs up from the lowly window washer to the top of the industrial heap. It is a modern-day musical with some wonderful songs in it, talking about worldwide wickets. Now, this is directed by none other than Gary Rucker. He took this Frank Lesser classic and really transformed it into really a nice production over there. I want to say that the pivotal role, though, of J. Pierpont Finch, played by such luminaries that we recall like Robert Morris and Matthew Broderick, and also more recently Daniel Radcliffe, he's enthusiastically played by Bobby Kelly. And this is a guy to watch because not only is he taking on the title role for How to Succeed, but I understand he's going to be taking on the role of Huck in Big River coming up at Tulane Summer Lyric. Okay. Now, I expected big things from him, and indeed he delivered, from the very opening number to the big finale. Also, Abby Botnick is seen here at Wright. She's a New Orleans native who recently graduated from Carnegie Mellon, which is a great school for theater. She was selected by Rucker to play Rosemary Pinkerton, and I was knocked out by her singing. Then I found out, however, that she's a great dancer, too. So, again, she's a real triple threat. Louis DeDossett plays J.B. Bigley, whose big song, of course, with Pawnee is Grand Old Ivy. And the entire male ensemble really is some of the best leading actors in New Orleans. Among them, Ken Good, Scott Sauber, Earl Sino, actors who, could have played leads in a lot of other productions. And don't forget a terrific Preston Mesh II, who plays Bud Frump. And of course, that was the role that was originally on Broadway by Charles Nelson Riley. The secretaries all do a great job with their roles. Abby Murrell as Smitty, Allie Peck as Miss Jones, and Carrie Daigle Bach as Hetty LaRue, the secretary who is not only a toy, but is made to resemble something of a Barbie doll. And a shout out to WYES' own Terry Utterback as chairman of the board, seen there in the chair as the chairman of the board, Wally Wamper, and the fellow who sat in front of me, I want to also mention, I recognize as the voice of the book, and that, of course, is one of your colleagues, Tom Fitzmaurice.
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, check that out. It's great for the entire family, and again, going to be playing till the 22nd of this month. Meanwhile, after tonight, the Blue Man Group has 4 remaining performances at the Sanger Theater. If you have not checked out what the Blue Man Group is all about, here's a little taste of this imaginative and fun offering that they have at the Sanger Theater. So again, that's going to be at the Sanger Theater. They have a total of 5 shows, 1 tonight and 4 remaining over the course of the weekend. Great fun and good for the whole family. Now, for those of you who didn't get enough of the Shakespeare last week that we had with the first folio, I wanted to follow up on that theme, though. Here's a photo of that jazz funeral that we talked about for William Shakespeare, also a birthday party that they had at Tulane University for the first folio. And there will be a lecture this Wednesday night at the Historic New Orleans Collection. That's the Williams Research Center on Charter Street, about the influence of Shakespeare in New Orleans. It'll be by Xavier Professor Oliver Hennessy, and it does require a reservation. Also, on that same theme, for those of you looking to see some unusual Shakespeare, I urge you to consider checking out Lisa Wolpe and her one-woman show. It's called Shakespeare and the Alchemy of Gender. This is a show in which it's a one-woman show, basically, where she plays traditional roles that usually would be done by men. It's a fantastic offering for her. She does Hamlet, and here she is as Shylock from Merchant of Venice. Lisa's shows actually talk about the pain of loss and the experience of playing Shakespeare and how she came to know her father and mother, both of whom sadly committed suicide, and how she came back using Shakespeare as a vehicle to learn about her father's past as a war hero and the fact that he had Jewish roots. Very fascinating story, and again, you can read more about that in the Crescent City Jewish News this week online. Again, Shakespeare and the Alchemy of Gender, 3 performances, a talkback after each one by Lisa, and that'll be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week. And lastly, for those not already seeing a show on tomorrow night, such as the ABBA show with LPO or whatever, perhaps you'll try to get to the Cripple Creek Productions annual fundraiser. Tickets start off at $35. It's going to be at the old lighthouse that we would call on Camp Street, but it's now called the Lighthouse NOLA, as opposed to the Lighthouse for the Blind, as we used to recall there on Camp Street.
You know, back to the Blue Man Group just for a second. I've seen them twice, and they have those giant balls.
Oh, yes.
That just push out into the audience, and it is so funny because it brings back these great childhood memories. Everybody likes to play with a big ball.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And when they start out with the paint, too, if you remember that, with the colored paint that they have with the drums, it's just
and not a word is spoken.
No. No.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, when they going to talk?
They talk when Teller talks in Penn and Teller.
Yes, exactly. That same conversation. Yes. Yeah. Now time for our picks. Okay, John Kemp.
Well, I have 2 of them. One is Michael Godet's 7 Deadly Sins at the Studio Infirmary down in Araby, Inferno in Araby. And the other one is in Julia Street, Horizons in Space, paintings by Regina Scully. It's about goals, dreams, and ambitions.
Ooh, all right. Poppy.
Cafe Hope's 3rd annual local food fest. Tomorrow at Cafe Hope, all sorts of local chefs are participating. The food's going to be great, great music and fun. Go.
All right, John.
The 2016 Wetlands Art Tour. It's a series of events this weekend about the theme of coastal land loss and wetlands preservation.
All right. So it's all over. Is there a website that people can go to for more info?
Wetlandsarttour.org has all the info.
Okay, good, good. So you're a bit of a community activist,
I'm also a community activist,
and you
yes.
also used to have the food co-op at the Healing Center, too?
I was involved with getting that started back in the day.
Wearing many hats and juggling.
And juggling, yes.
Okay. Alan.
Well, I want everybody to sort of check out the following screens that we have coming up for information on the New Orleans Recreation Development Commission and the New Orleans Ballet Association's auditions for pre-professionals. They have them broken down by ages from 9 through 11 and then from 12 to 18. That's going to be coming up on May the 20th and the 21st.
You know, and then, of course, that's Nordic.
Yeah.
Okay? And it was it's the old
It used to be the New Orleans Recreation Department, but now it's the Development Commission.
Well, I mean, and I can't speak highly enough about taking lessons and being able to do those kinds of things, because we have great memories of Ty Tracy and Nord Theater and just taking classes.
But
and different
it's
things
really great to see the Ballet Association out there with them.
Yeah, the ballet kind of combining, which they've been doing for many years. All right, great, thank you. Before we go to my picks, here is a photo of a St. Joseph altar that was actually at the Jazz Fest, designed by artist Linda Sampson. According, as you well know, according to the Sicilian custom of honoring St. Joseph, you could also include images of loved ones who have passed, and she included the very, very much missed music legend Alan Toussaint. Just so dear. And my picks, the Taco Truck Theater, Teatro de San Fronteras, created by Jose Torres Thomas, will be transforming a food vehicle, a food truck, into a mobile stage to reach theater audiences to address the anti-immigrant movement with a performance Sunday at 4 p.m. at the Art Club on Art Street in the St. Roch neighborhood. Visit Jose's website for details. Concert in the Courtyard will present the Honey Island Swamp Band next Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Historic New Orleans Collection. And looking ahead, WYES presents a Chef Paul Prudhomme tribute dinner at Perlu Restaurant in the Southern Food and Beverage Museum. That's on Friday, June 3rd. Enjoy a cocktail reception followed by a Chef Paul-inspired 4-course dinner from Chef Ryan Hughes. During the evening, a tribute video will be shown and a special award will be presented posthumously to the celebrated chef. Seating is limited, and the following day, Saturday, June 6th, WYES presents the Culinary Customs at the Southern Food and Beverage Museum with numerous cooking demos of local chefs starting at 10:30 a.m. by some of our area's most talented chefs. For reservations for these or info, go to WYES.org. And by the way, before we depart here, we just wanted to say thank you for the memories and all the hard work of Paul Campbell, who is behind the scenes tonight after almost 46 years, a consummate photographer, crew chief, let's see, so many things. He wears many, many hats. But thank you, Paul Campbell, and I understand there's a rumor that you'll be coming back and playing with us some more. So I hope that, but we certainly do, we really, really will miss him. Thank you all very much, and thanks for watching. Good night.